We're now joined by legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala to look into day one of South Africa's genocide case at the International Court of Justice. And Mpumelelo joins us via our video link. Mpumelelo, thank you so much for joining us this evening here on SABC News. Of course, today was indeed day one of those hearings. From your analysis, what is your take on South Africa's legal arguments which were brought in at the ICJ today? How do you think that the South African legal team fared here?
I think they did quite good. They presented a formidable case, looking into or covering all the important factors that also need to be looked at. Remember what South Africa is looking for here. It almost is equivalent to an urgent application within our South African courts, in which they are saying there's a right, which is the right to life, that we need to protect. On the balance of probabilities, we are probably going to win this matter at a later stage. It's just that we can't go through the merits of the matter because it's going to take too long.
Yeah.
What we're seeking to do is to protect the lives of individuals who are going to suffer irreparable harm, because once a person is dead, they can't come back. And there's no other alternative remedy that is there, which is why we are here at the ICJ. We've tried negotiations, they do not work. Any other condemnation also doesn't work. So the only reprieve and the only protection that can be achieved, if you go to the ICJ and it issues an order to Israel to say to them, stop. Even if you want to protect the integrity or the territory of your country, there are ways and means of doing that. It does not mean that you should bomb hospitals and kill innocent children and mothers. Be specific as to your target and who we are targeting, because all that we want at the end of the day is for humanity to be observed at all times.
And of course, Mpumelelo, this matter has received a lot of mixed views. I mean, some are even calling this a historical case which South Africa has entered into. And one would ask, when it comes to, the questions being raised here in terms of human rights in, of course, Gaza, as well as, South Africa's legal expertise when it comes to human rights on an international scale. How do you think, when it comes to the case, do you think that it is compelling enough, given the fact that many are actually saying that, well, South Africa doesn't really have the expertise and the experience of dealing with human rights on an international scale?
I think that's where they would be wrong. In fact, what you've seen today is a formidable team, a team of legal experts which was well vested, was able to articulate their cases very well, was even touching on previous case laws, which is something I think they presented a good case, and the argument was exceptionally and up to par with the standards that should be going on within the ICJ. And when it comes to whether South Africa ought to be dealing with this particular matter, there's only one word that can answer that: Ubuntu. If you say that Ubuntu must be resonate, and the spirit of Ubuntu must then be spread not only through within our shores, but we must also send it to the international community. This is what South Africa was doing. They are basically saying that people that are dying in Palestine on a daily basis, those particular individuals are innocent. We can't keep quiet while there are ways and means of being able to assist them. And one of those ways and means is to say, because there's a genocide convention that is there, because there's the ICJ that you can be able to approach, regardless of how much it's going to cost us in South Africa, the right or the price of life far outweighs whatever cost in which we are going to incur. In the spirit of Ubuntu, we are going to be involved in this particular matter. And what it then did, it elevated even the legal professionals or legal practitioners who are practicing in South Africa. And who better to fight these particular fights than individuals that have been through a particular system? If you look at the age of the legal practitioners that are there, probably they have lived through part of apartheid, or they have a strong resemblance or an example of what it means to be under the oppression of an individual. So I think they did exceptionally well, and it was in the spirit of Ubuntu that we went there to try and assist the people of Palestine.
And I was actually coming to that question because that's been the sentiments really coming out from South Africans, and they're asking themselves, why is South Africa getting involved in these international matters? And one would also ask, when it comes to now that we find ourselves here and South Africa has hauled Israel to court, what does this case essentially mean for South Africa?
It basically means, one, on the aspect of Ubuntu, we have definitely done our part. But if you want to go on a technical basis, remember, you have a constitution that says we're supposed to participate in international agreements. We are part of the Genocide Convention. We are part of the United Nations, either directly or indirectly. We are supposed to stick and be able to subscribe to whatever international practices that are there. And that means that whenever those particular practices are being broken, whenever those conventions are being broken by certain countries, we have an obligation in South Africa to make sure that we're able to step in. So it is not something as if they were saying, where do you enter into this particular fray? It's because it does not concern you, it's not your individuals or community which are being killed. But at the end of the day, the spirit of Ubuntu compels us to make sure that we're able to stand up and to use the legal tools that are available to us, like going to the ICJ, which was utilized today.
And when it comes to the ICJ itself and, this case which has been presented, I know it's still a bit early because we still are awaiting the side from Israel. Should South Africa win this case, what would then the ICJ then be determined to do? What should they do? Should the country actually win this matter?
The judgment will certainly say, please cease and desist from engaging in further activities which are going to be viewed as acts of genocide. Yes, you can engage in self-defense mechanisms that are there. You're supposed to defend yourself as a country. But we're going to scrutinize the manner in which you're defending yourself. So the minute there's a hospital that has been bombed, the minute innocent lives are being lost, then definitely the ICJ is going to come in. But the other side is to say, what power does the ICJ really have in terms of telling the country like Gaza to stop doing whatever that they're doing? Look at what has been happening in Russia, and the type of orders that have been issued against Russia, and yet it still continues. That certain individuals would continue as if there's no order that has been there. But I think it's a matter of principle which is going to matter the most in terms of saying, even though you may not have teeth, or may not have any punishing roles or things in which you can punish the misbehaving individuals by, but the mere fact that we've stood up, been given an opportunity in an international frame, and we have come back with a positive order. It means whatever that you are fighting for, in principle, it is correct. And regardless whether you want to continue with it or not, obey the rules as they are, you must know that what you are doing is wrong. And we were one of the individuals that stood up and told you that what you are doing is wrong and you should stop it.
And tomorrow indeed is the final day, and we will hear from the Israeli government. What are your expectations from those arguments?
Expectation is to hear that defense. Probably they'll come back and say whatever that we're doing it in self-defense. There are no genocidal intentions that are there. We are simply looking at Hamas and nobody else. The mere fact that there are casualties that are there, well, it is unfortunate, and I say that in inverted commas. However, it has never been the intention to make sure that we're able to wipe out the whole Palestinian community. And the utterances that have been made by our leaders, probably they need to step in on this one and provide a valid explanation as to why a leader of that particular caliber would speak in the manner in which they're speaking in. Even they may even come up with the defense of saying that all these particular comments are taken out of context. Listen to what the whole clip is saying so that you can be able to better understand what you are saying. All that you are seeking to protect is the people of Israel and nothing else. So whatever that you have engaged in, it was no malice which was designed against, and all that we have done is to protect our own individuals, and maybe even attack the element of agency in terms of saying how urgent is this matter if those particular crimes took place or the alleged actions took place in October and we're only coming to court in December and in January to try and fight those. But I don't think those particular arguments are going to be as strong as the arguments that were stated today. The most important part for me is the protection of human life. And if you fail to do that, I think even the mandate as issued to by the ICJ would have failed to execute its mandate properly.
All right, Mpumelelo, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News.